Hey guys, how's it going? KRIPP'S here. So, we got a new season of Diablo 4 coming pretty soon here. If you're watching this video, it might be in a day or two even. I might already be streaming it. It's going to be a busy week for me with Bazaar also releasing their new season. But well, spoiled for choice. I don't mind. I'm going to play it all. Now, for Diablo 4, I have outlined a couple of builds that I am eyeing this season. I will not be updating the Companion Druid, but I will leave that one up because there's really very few changes. You might just want to replace Petrify with Grizzly Rage because now you can use Companion skills with it, but there's some downsides to doing that, so you might just play the exact same build, and possibly they fixed some of the bugs with the minions going into the ground. Now, this new season for Diablo in Season 9, we have kind of like, we got rid of like the boss powers, and now we have some other kind of powers. Now, these powers don't have that much of an effect on your character, but they are pretty cool in how you can customize them. The first build I want to showcase for you guys is going to be a Necromancer build featuring the Hand of Naz. Now, this is not my footage. Okay, I'll link you guys, this content creator, so you guys can see the video in full, but give you guys just some idea. So there's this glove, and what it does is it takes your total minion count, and they just all become skeleton mages. And this is really good because you can sacrifice some of them, and it has an empower effect where your skeleton mages can get unstoppable and they teleport with you, and almost certainly it is going to be the best minion build for damage throughput in Season 9. Now, there are some drawbacks. Those of you that have tried the mages in the past know that the mages, well, they kind of suck baseline, so there is a lot of stuff that you need for the build to actually work properly, but fear not. KRIPP guide on Mobalytics is here. So if you want the written form of the guide, and it is largely going to be a written form this time because we are working with items that I cannot highlight directly, this is where you're going to want to go. This is going to be the minion build to play. People are expecting that Bloodwave might still be the best Necromancer build, but it should only be marginally better than this one in terms of throughput. I think this is going to be a really good minion build because the mages, when they get in power and they teleport, they become unstoppable, which is a really big deal. It's generally why a lot of my builds have been focused on running the golem or a golem-focused build. The reason is that the golem, you can press the golem button and make it unstoppable. For the other minions, you couldn't really do that, and now with the Hand of Naz, you can kind of do that at least most of the time. So there is a bit of an issue with the Hand of Naz, and that is that skeleton mages kind of suck. They just don't really do that much damage, and they attack kind of slow. The main thing that makes the build like the best minion build is getting a greater affix skeleton mage mastery version of Hand of Naz. And then what you do is you masterwork it, and you land on it like 2 or 3 times. And that like ridiculous amount of skeletal mage mastery ranks gives you a multiplier effect to damage and health, resulting in the build overcoming all the other minion builds. Now, that probably means that you'll be playing another minion build before you play this one. You can just play a whole bunch of minions as you level, and I'm going to have another guide, check out the other video coming soon, that's going to be a golem-centric build, and it might be one of the best builds before you get a really good Hand of Naz. So, yes, the idea is that sacrificing both skeleton warriors and golems grants additional skeleton mage for each minion sacrificed. So you're just going to run with a whole bunch of skeleton mages. When a skeleton mage attacks enemies 25 times without dying, it upgrades into a skeleton archmage. And those are the ones that teleport. They do a whole bunch of extra damage, and they're just really good. That's pretty much how the build works. Yes, it is a good build. So we're going to sacrifice the Reapers to do extra shadow damage. This is not as big of a bonus as you think because the mages themselves still don't do that much damage. You're still pretty much playing a Mendeln build. The Mendeln does physical damage, but they still do some shadow damage, so why not? You can go for the crit if you're lacking crit. You're going to have a whole ton of mages, so you get a massive multiplier for each one, adding up to quite a lot, and you get 35% more crit damage from the Golem sacrifice. The rest of the setup is pretty standard with the exception of aspect of service and sacrifice. This is an aspect that they introduced to the game in Season 8, and it was complete garbage because mages really don't do that much damage. In fact, warriors were the highest damaging minion for Mendeln. So why would you want your warriors to constantly die while your mages get a damage boost? Well, the answer is you wouldn't. So nobody used this. But now, because we sacrifice the warriors, we don't really care if the warriors take physical damage 25% per second while in combat. We don't even run the warriors, right? But the second part, where the mages take 90% reduced damage and deal 100% extra, this is not modified for the two-hand bonus, okay? So they're going to deal triple damage with this aspect and take 90% reduced, which is actually relevant because the Hand of Naz, they need to attack 25 times without dying to be upgraded to Skeleton Archmages. So the damage reduction is insane, the damage boost is insane, and coupled with a well-rolled Hand of Naz, you are kicking with this build. This build's going to do fantastic. The runes did change a little bit. They made it so the overpower is not so crazy. So we're using the Cax, which burns all your resource, and you basically do a whole bunch of damage for a short period of time. That's basically the best rune in the game right now. And instead of using the thing that gave you overpowered occasionally, we're going to use Thol, which is 300 offering to do a sorcerer version of Frost Nova that makes a target take 15% more damage, and it freezes them. So again, just helps you stay alive, it helps your mages to stay alive, because you really don't want a single mage ever dying in this build. The Horadric spells, this is kind of like the new system that they have. So what I have chosen is kind of like what I think would be pretty good, but it's usually like the new powers, Horadric spell type of stuff that they rebalance after the PTR, which they did. And it's also the kind of thing that the community kind of takes a few trial and error, min-max runs to actually figure out what the best one is. So this might not be the best setup. You might want to check what other people are running like a few days, maybe a week into the seasons, typically when people have this stuff figured out. But I'll give you guys the reasoning as to why we're using this one. So the Cosmic Anomaly just like does a bunch of damage and whatever, and then when you use it, it does like an empowered version, and yeah, that's pretty much it. There are some reasons to use other powers because they have a better rate of proccing lucky hit effects, so possibly that is going to be more important. The power that you have here basically gets triggered when you use the assigned skill. We're using Soul Rift as the assigned skill. Typically, you want to use a skill that has a lower cooldown than 50 seconds, though. But the reason we have Soul Rift is because we use a secondary new mechanic, and these are like the Uber gems. The gems have both all resist and armor, so it makes it a bit easy to cap both. And there is one here, the Myriad Stone. After you cast your catalytic skill, if it is an ultimate, gain 30% attack speed for 10 seconds. Now, the PTR window was pretty short. We didn't get to test everything, but this should be tier 2 attack speed, which would make it completely crazy for this build because all we're doing is trying to attack fast to proc as many Mendelns with our Archmages as possible. So that's why we're using it on Soul Rift. The rest doesn't really matter too much. Bloody Charm is pretty much used in every single build. It has like an execution effect, and with the Cosmic Anomaly, if you do trigger an execution, you get 20% attack speed for 8 seconds. Tier 2 attack speed is basically like the second bucket of attack speed that can go over 100% of your baseline attack speed, which is super important for this type of build, and you get 20% for 8 seconds if you execute something, which is very nice. It's a good source of vulnerable, but these are pretty flex. You can kind of run whatever you want there. It's really the first 4 that you really want to min-max. Now, if you want some details on how things work, please read the written guide. I will have a link below. As far as the skills, Paragon and Mercenary, there really isn't too much stuff to pay attention to. We're doing largely shadow damage, so we want to work on that. We're using the new Kalan's Edict, so more minions is more attack speed, more damage. There is one tech that might not be obvious, so when one of your minions die, your other minions enrage, dealing 20% more damage for 3 seconds. So that effect is typically ignored, but it actually works with Bone Prison because the pieces of Bone Prison, for whatever reason, are minions. Crazy. You also get a damage buff for trapping things in the Bone Prison. So the way the build works, as you saw a little bit in that video, is you get a corpse. You corpse tendrils, pull them all to you. Then you Bone Prison, so they get like the damage bonus. The Bone Prison's probably going to start dying because it has very low health. Going to enrage your skeleton mages, and then they're going to go to town, do a whole bunch of damage, and you're going to start executing them with your Herodric spells. That's pretty much it. A lot of flexibility with the rest, but the baseline should be there, and it should be pretty solid for you to get started with your Necromancer journey in Season 9. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.